Hello methods candidates. In this video I'm going to go over the instructions for the final reflection you need for both my course as well as a program requirement. In this video I'll be going over how to format the paper, and I'll also be going over a sample of a reflection essay. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, spring 2020 candidates have a little bit different obligations in regards to their observation policies. As of April 2nd, 2020, according to TEA and WTAMU Office of Teacher Preparation, you need to complete 30 hours of observations. This can be any combination of teaching videos and face-to-face. Or if you had 30 hours prior to us moving online, those will all count as well. You need to submit both your virtual log and your face-to-face log to Gloria via the Education Majors Methods community that has been set up by Dr. Garcia, and she went over how to join that in methods orientation earlier this semester. Please submit all of your paperwork virtually for spring 2020, as the campus is closed to all but essential personnel at this time. To access and submit your log, you want to go into the community groups inside Blackboard, select Methods Candidates. If you click on the Video Observations 15 Hours Log Sheet and Resources, you can download the log sheet there. Fill that out along with your face-to-face log that you got earlier in the semester. Then go under Forms and upload both of those documents to the log sheet Dropbox in that same community. Once you have completed your virtual hours or face-to-face hours of observations, you are ready to write your final reflection. I want you to go ahead and open a Word document and format your paper. We're going to follow APA 7th edition, which came out this year, to set up our title page and headers. If you want to cheat a little bit and do it the easy way, download my sample paper in Blackboard that I'm going to review in this video, and then you can just type over what I have there. If you are in EDEL 4372, that's English Language Arts and Social Studies methods for EC through 6 and 4 through 8, you need the teaching writing section. All other candidates do not. So if you're in my 4330, you're going to disregard that section. Okay, so let's take a look at the sample paper to get you started. This is your mentor text, and if you're wondering, oh, how long should this be? About this long. We're not worried about words, we're more worried about your content. I want everybody this semester to have a title page. Everybody's title will be Methods Candidate Final Reflection. You're going to change this to your legal first and last name, WTAMU Teacher Education Program. Leave that the same for everybody. Put your buff ID in, and go ahead and just leave April 27th, 2020 the same here. Please put in the header, I want you to put the page number, and the font needs to be like Calibri, Cambria, Times New Roman. Those are some of your options, but please keep the entire document in the same font. 11 point or 12 point will work with APA 7th edition. Everybody is going to have the same title for their paper. It will be Methods Candidate Final Reflection. That needs to be in bold and centered. Everybody will have an introduction. I want you to take a moment, pause this video, and read the introduction to yourself. You'll notice there's nothing fancy about this introduction. It simply tells the reader what to expect in your reflection. That's it. No open-ended questions, no rhetorical questions, no quotes are needed, nothing fancy. You can mimic what I have, just change up the words a little bit to make it your own. The first body section is Critical Creative Curriculum Planning. Everybody needs that same title centered and bolded on their paper. I want you to take a moment and read through this section. This section is worth 3 points because there are 3 things that you're going to tell me. You're going to tell me what you learned about critical creative curriculum planning in your courses at WTAMU. This can be any one of your courses or multiple courses. It can come from your content area courses or it can come from your education courses. Either one of those will work. I want you to elaborate on it is what you learned, and I want you to connect that to what you observed in your face-to-face observations or in one of your online video observations. Describe that connection. Figure out if there was a discrepancy between the two, like if what your professors told you matched what you saw in the videos, or if what your professors told you did not match. So what you're going to do is evaluate what you observed either in face-to-face or video observations, and then you're going to tell us whether or not that strategy was effective. If it was ineffective, you're going to offer a solution to change it. So 3 things for this section. What you learned at WT in one of your courses, either content or education. What you observed, something very, very specific in either the face-to-face observations or your video observations, and then evaluate the effectiveness of what you observed. You will do the same thing for the consideration of student development section. All students need to complete this section. I'm looking for the same 3 points. What did you learn in your courses at WT? How does that connect to what you observed? And then evaluate the effectiveness. If what you observed was ineffective, offer a solution. This section is also worth 3 points. The next section is only for EDEL 4372. That's Integrated English Language Arts and Social Studies. This time I want you to tell me what you learned about writing specifically in my course this semester. Then tell me what you observed in your face-to-face or online videos. If you didn't get a chance to observe writing, you can tell me that too, and then tell me how you think it would be more effective to incorporate writing into that subject. So same 3 things. What did you learn in Dr. Rodriguez's course? What did you observe? Evaluate what you observed and offer a solution if it was ineffective. Last section that everybody's going to do is the conclusion. This section is worth 5 points and there's 5 parts. The first thing I want you to do is identify a strength that you have right now as a methods candidate. Then I want you to tell me what one of your weaknesses is. What's the area that you need to work on the most? Then I want you to set a goal for yourself as a clinical teacher in the fall. Then I want you to set a goal for yourself as a first-year teacher. What do you think is going to need the most work in your first year of teaching? And finally, I want to know what your career-long goal is. So 5 parts in the conclusion. Identify all 5 of those parts for your 5 points. So now you understand the format and the structure of what you need to write for the final reflection, but you may still be a little bit confused about the content that you need to write. If you go into the Week 14 folder, you'll see a directions file that you can download. And on the second page, if you scroll down to the second page of the directions, you'll see some quick write questions that I have for you. Take a look at the bullet points. Those are just some options that you have to write about. You are not going to write about every single one of those bullet points. Instead, I want you to think about your observation and what stands out to you about creative curriculum planning the most. And start with that number 2, where it says, describe a time when you observed curriculum planning with your cooperating teacher, or this could be in one of the videos you watched online. So if I think about the classrooms that I went to this semester, one of the things that really stands out to me is a kindergarten classroom that I got to observe. And I really like how she structured her classroom. So I'm going to do my quick write about that, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I took about 5 minutes and I wrote a response to the quick write. Describe a time when you observed curriculum planning with your cooperating teacher. And I said, in the kindergarten classroom I observed, I watched the teacher move from whole class instruction to group instruction and back to whole class instruction seamlessly. Each time she taught writing, she would call the students over to sit on the carpet in front of her chart. Then she would model for the students how to do the type of writing they would be working on for the day. On one day, she modeled informational writing and showed the students how to add supporting details. After the short mini lesson, the students returned to their tables where they pulled out their notebook, resource folder, and writing utensil. The teacher sat down to work with a group of 4 students at their table. While she was working with that group, the other students worked on their writing independently using resources around the room like the word wall to help them spell words they were familiar with. If you notice in my quick write, I am very, very specific about the instance that I chose to talk about. And I'm talking about how she structured her classroom specifically from group work to independent work. Okay. My next step is to go and connect that to what I learned in one of my courses at WT. Okay, so I'm choosing to go back to maybe EDSE 3340, where I learned that teachers need to follow the gradual release model to scaffold learning for their students. The teacher starts by modeling an example in front of the class, then they release some of the responsibility to the students by, and I stopped there just in case you want to use gradual release in your essay, but I would continue to explain what gradual release was. My next step is to connect those two things together and talk about if what I observed was effective or not. Okay, so you'll see in the last part, you're going to respond to the statement, evaluate the effectiveness of the curriculum planning you observed. And I said the act of modeling during a whole group mini lesson, then moving to work with a small group of students while others worked independently was highly effective. By utilizing this structure every time they wrote, the teacher was able to give each student specific feedback and set goals for them. So you'll see those are my 3 parts that I want to see in that section. Now, how you merge those together is up to you. The first section in the sample, you'll see that I split them up. I did what I learned at WT, and then I did what I observed, and then I did the effectiveness. But if you look at the other 2 body paragraphs, you'll see that I merged all 3 of those together. So it's totally up to you how you mush that together, or if you want to keep those in separate parts. The point is just make sure all of those are in that section. Obviously, I would need to add some transitions. I might want to shift some things around. I want to change my wording a little bit, but that's the gist of what you need to do for the body paragraphs. So print those directions off with those quick writes, print off the sample, have those next to you or have them pulled up on your computer. When you do consideration of student development, you're going to choose one of the bullet points, either an English language learner, a student in special education, a gifted learner, a low-level reader or writer, or maybe you're going to talk about cultural differences. You only need to talk about one though, one that you observed either face-to-face at Palo Duro tutoring or in the online videos. Start with the number 2. Okay, start by talking about what you observed, then connect it back to what you learned in a course at WT. 4372, you're going to do teaching writing. I will add that you can also do kid writing in here too, because we talked about that this semester. Start with what you observed in writing. It does not have to be an English language arts classroom. It can be anything from math, science, social studies, anything. Maybe you didn't see writing. Okay, you can tell me that too. Or maybe you found some cool videos online and you did get to see it. And then connect it to what you learned in my course. Remember, the conclusion are those 5 parts that I talked about earlier. So do those quick writes first. That's going to help you just kind of get the words out and get the thoughts out. If you get really stuck with how to phrase something, shoot me an email or send me a text and I'll give you that fancy professional language that it's called. Once you're done with your quick writes, go turn it into that more formal sounding essay. Follow the structure that I gave you earlier in the video. Format it the way that I showed you in the video. Save that file, and there's 2 places you're going to submit it. The first is in the week 14 folder to my Dropbox. This is going to be your final for my class. Okay, so submit that final version that's formatted nicely here. Then you're going to go into the community groups under Education Majors, click Lessons, Methods Candidates, then go down to Reflection Paper and submit to this Dropbox for Dr. Garcia's office. I cannot see this Dropbox once you submit it, so I cannot grade it if you only submit it here. Please, please, please remember to submit it to both my course Dropbox and the community Dropbox. Okay, if you guys have any questions, you're welcome to schedule a Zoom appointment with me. You can email me, you can text me, anything. Okay, it was great working with you guys this semester, and I'm really sad that we don't get to see each other face to face before you take off for the summer. But I want you to remember that if you can make it through something as crazy as the COVID-19 pandemic, you can handle a class no problem. I wish you guys the best of luck in the future. Go Buffs!